Welcome to another episode of the Brown Bostonian Show. I'm your host, Kevin Parrington Turner, and we are here again. I told you it's gonna be consistent as much as I can. I swear, and I'm keeping my word on that. So we're gonna get back into it. You know what I mean? It was week one of the NFL season, and it was a good one. It was a good one. We got to start. There's been some upsets. Surprisingly, not a lot of passing plays, not a lot of good, crazy passing days, which makes interesting for fantasy football. But we're gonna get all into it. I'm gonna do my first one. Patriots defeat the Bengals 16-10. And I was surprised. But the Patriots did do what I had them needed to do before they needed to win, which was get a turnover, which they did at the goal line. The Patriots created a fumble at the goal line right before the Bengals about to score. Joe Burrow completed the pass, and right at the goal line, it was knocked out by a Patriot defender. The Patriots got the ball. No score for the Bengals. And offensively, Jacoby Brissett just didn't even make mistakes. I mean, sometimes he did make some mistakes. He almost threw a pick in a crucial point. He almost made some mistakes, but nonetheless, he didn't turn the ball over, didn't make any crazy blunders, which, I respect out of him. The Patriots did well. They didn't allow 20 points to be scored on them, multiple touchdowns. They did allow a running touchdown from Zach Moss, but besides that, the Patriots defense was really the star of the game. Gerard Mayo got his first win as a head coach in the NFL. Congratulations to him. And I think that's saying a lot. The Patriots did well on defense, which I said last week. Going into this week, that's going to be what they need to do to win. And they just need game managers. I think, Bill Belichick said earlier on the Pat McAfee show that there's nothing wrong with a game manager. And that's what Jacoby Brissett was. He just didn't make mistakes, didn't throw picks, didn't throw ill-advised throws. If he did, it was batted down. It wasn't an interception. Uh, Jacoby finished with 15 out of 24 on attempts, 121 passing yards, and hold on, sorry y'all. And that was it. No touchdown throws, no touchdown interceptions. Joe Burrow, 21 for 29, 164. Jamar Chase only caught 6 passes for 62 yards. We're not going to get to the Bengals. I'm sure there's a bunch of people in Cincinnati are not happy, especially to lose at home. For the Patriots to win that on the road, I think that's a big plus, big win, and very big outlook for the Patriots this season, just to get that win on the road. But nonetheless, they got it done. They got it done. Offensively, of course, I didn't really see anyone on the Patriots that could step up amazingly this season that we found a star. Not yet. You never know. It's still early in the season. I think the defense is really what it is, and the special teams not making mistakes either. That's really what it is. If they can keep games to low scoring games, it looks good for the Patriots. It looks good for the Pats. I think that's my biggest takeaway. I'm not gonna get into next week for the Pats. I'm gonna change that to Thursday, Friday. But for now, Patriots start the season 1-0. But like I said last episode, the AFC East is a tough division. The Dolphins had an okay week. They won. I'm gonna get into that. The Jets, not so much, but they still. Aaron Rodgers is back. Garrett Wilson is back. Wilson is back. Gardner is back. Uh, Brees Hall is back. They got some guys in the Bills. Even though it was a scary one, they pulled it out. But biggest takeaway for the Pats, the defense. And Gerard Mayo, they can win games, and they can win games against teams that have been to the Super Bowl. So congratulations to the Patriots. I'm sure all New England fans are happy with that one. Next, we're gonna get back to the rest of the NFL. I'm not gonna spend too much time, too long of a time on this episode. But 49ers defeated the Jets last night, 32-19. I got a chance to watch the game. It's not as close as it looks. They scored a last-minute touchdown before the game ends. Tyrod Taylor came in the final drive, but the Jets did not look that well. Christian McCaffrey did not play that well. I'm sorry, Christian McCaffrey didn't play. He was listed inactive And Jordan Mason for the 49ers came in with 28 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. He played great. I'm sure, he's going to be mentioned later in this episode of who to pick up in fantasy football because he did well. But, Debo Samuels, Ayuk, like the 49ers look good. Brock Purdy looked well. He was delivering strikes. He made one or two inaccurate throws. But for the most part, the 49ers look good. They look like another team that's just like ahead of the NFC, just ready to go to the Super Bowl. They're not my picks, but 49ers look good. As far as the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is back. He struggled offensively. The wide receivers struggled to get open. That 49ers defense is pretty good. Their offense is better. They was throwing everywhere. But for the Jets, that they were able to score. Brees Hall got a touchdown. He's on my fantasy team. But at the end, when they needed a third and one, it was called back because it stepped out of bounds on a throw by Wilson. But so it was 31. Brees Hall up the middle, couldn't get it. That's a problem in itself. The offensive line for the Jets couldn't get a push, couldn't protect Aaron Rodgers. So, and then 4th and 1, Aaron Rodgers tried to throw it, was incomplete. And then turnover on downs, 49ers kicked the ball. Now it's up 3 scores. Now the game's over. So 49ers beat the Jets. Jets didn't look that good, but it is what it is. Eagles defeated the Packers. I say it every year. I say it. There's always an injury that will mess up a lot of fantasy rosters, and it happened. Jordan Love at the 4th quarter, final drive, he got hurt. He's going to be out a couple of weeks, so not the entire season, but he just got paid. So that definitely hurts. The Packers, we'll see what happens. But the Eagles, not a promising win. They beat the Packers 34-29. But nonetheless, Eagles were able to get it out. Jalen Hurts was able to win it. Some concerns on that offensive line. The wide receiver core looks good. The secondary, could use some work, but they was able to win it. It was a close game though. They came down to the Packers in the final drive. They just couldn't score. But Eagles won, and Jordan Love is out for a couple of weeks, not the entire season. With MCL sprain, I believe. Next, we got the Lions. They defeated the Rams. I got a chance to watch that game because it was Sunday night. My fantasy team, I got Gibbs, and he played well, even though the last drive, I'm a little bit mad because Montgomery drove down the field just trucking through players in overtime. And they beat the Rams on a touchdown, 26-20. The Lions look good. The Rams, their wide receiver core is depleted. So is their offensive line. Injuries are holding them back. Matthew Stafford was also on my team, but he was on the bench. He played well. He threw some bad throws. But nonetheless, the Rams are going to win some games. I can see them being like a 500 team. The Lions, people have them going very far, and I can see why because their running game is really good. Their wide receiver core is good. Jared Goff, he made some not so good throws, but that's Jared Goff. He's going to make some good decisions. He's going to make some bad decisions. And their defense is very disciplined. They're very good. That secondary is tough. They can fly around. They can cause issues. It's even after the catch, it can cause issues because they hit hard and they cover tight. So the Lions look good. They won 26-20, especially for week 1. I expect them to win a lot of games. But I don't expect them to be dominant as some people kind of expected them to be this season. But you never know. Next, you got the Buccaneers who defeated the Commanders 37-20. JD Daniels, he played well. He played somewhat well on the ground because he rushed for touchdowns. But the Buccaneers, more so Baker Mayfield is the story. 37-20. I think veteran play played a major role in this. Commanders just don't have all the pieces together yet. But there was some bright spots. There were some down spots. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. Cowboys defeated the Browns 33-17. Cowboys look good. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they connected. Their offense looked potent. Ezekiel Elliott is back. He got a touchdown. The Browns with Deshaun Watson. Listen, in my fantasy drive, I almost contemplated picking up Deshaun Watson until I was like, why? He was good for like a year, 2 years, and then he got into some trouble, or trouble got to him. Whatever your opinion on is on that. And then after that, even when he gets on the field, he's just not there. It could be the pieces around him. He's in Cleveland. I'm sorry to all the Cleveland people out there. Cleveland Browns aren't that. They just haven't been. The Cowboys, of course, they're just gonna look good every regular season. A lot of points scored. They're gonna win a lot. They're gonna be a playoff team, and then once the playoff happens, that's when the blunders happen. Nonetheless, Cowboys beat the Browns 33-17, and then the Chargers defeated the Raiders 22-10. That was a slow burn. Watched that game. That was frustrating to watch because the running game couldn't get going. The passing game couldn't get going. It was just kind of a game of just turnovers, three and outs. Just a little boring game, but Harbaugh, he got his first win with the Chargers. 22-10. Justin Herbert didn't look that great, offensively, but the Raiders are a tough team defensively. And, the Raiders, they have some pieces. Bowers, tight end, rookie tight end, he played well. Devontae Adams, he's good. Jacoby Myers, he's good for the Raiders. It's just their quarterback Minshew. He's at best average, but he's really a below average quarterback. But it'll be interesting to see how the Raiders go from here. Next, we got the Seahawks who defeated the Broncos. Bo Nix played, eh, you know, I expected the Seahawks to win. Uh, Going into this, the Seahawks are just always tough. I don't have too much about it. I expected it. I don't expect either team to do any damage this season anyway. Dolphins defeated the Jags 20-17. Got a chance to see a lot of that game as well. Uh, Dolphins struggled because the Jags was up most of this game until the second half. Dolphins kind of came alive, started driving down the field. Tyreek Hill let off a big play, despite being arrested, I believe, the day prior. But Jalen Waddle, he kind of was battling injuries in and out of the game. Mostert, he played okay. Uh, Chain, he played well. He's on my fantasy team. He got a touchdown. And, the Dolphins, it wasn't, a Jags team is good with Trevor Lawrence, but I can't say it was an impressive win, but they got the win. Last second field goal to win it. So nonetheless, they got to win. They're 1-0 in that AFC East tough division. Bears defeated the Titans 24-17. Caleb Williams, his first game, he didn't play well. No touchdowns, no touchdown rushes or throws. I don't even think he threw for over 100 yards. But the Titans just gave away that game. Terrible play at the end from the quarterback. Little shovel pass that was a pick six, and the Bears are 1-0. It wasn't a good one. Bills defeated the Cardinals 34-28. Bills were down for the first half of this game. Cardinals were hitting on all cylinders. Kyler Murray was doing his thing. But then Josh Allen came through, started doing it on his feet, running in for touchdowns. He started connecting with his wide receivers, and the Bills brought it out. I think that was just kind of a veteran thing to do, like just a playoff team that's been in those tight spots that know how to get the wins. Texans defeated the Colts 29-27. That was a really good game. Got a chance to see a lot of that game too. CJ Stroud, Richardson, the young quarterbacks, young black quarterbacks going at it. Richardson's on my fantasy football team, so I like to see the long passes and him running in for touchdowns, trucking over guys. That was good. But CJ Stroud kind of just showed that he's a winner. He's a winner. I mean, I'm not going to give him all the credit. Their defense also made some big stops, some key interceptions, so they got the 29-27 win. But I think the future looks bright for Richardson and the Colts. It also looks bright for the Texans with Stephon Diggs now and that wide receiver core. I think they look really good. Collins, they all look good on that Texans team. Next, we got the Saints that defeated the Panthers 47-10. Not going to spend too much time on that. The Panthers aren't good. The Saints defense did really well. So did their offense. Carr, he was okay. Got some big throws off. Kamara, Kamara, he was well as well. Like, Saints blew out the Panthers, which was expected. Vikings defeated the Giants. Giants is going to be a tough season for y'all fans. Neighbors, he was a highlight. He's on my fantasy team. It's clear he's going to be the top wide receiver, even as a rookie, which is a problem in itself. The Vikings, they just got too much weapons. They got veterans. And the Giants are, this is tough. This is tough. Steelers defeated the Falcons 18-10. Although still I expected the Steelers to win, the defense really won the game for them. The offense didn't look promising. Falcons didn't look. I kind of expected the Falcons offense to do a little bit more than they did, but the Steelers, they don't lose much, especially Mike Tomlin. They win games that they're supposed to. I still can't really get a full feel of what I expect of the Steelers, but maybe Thursday or Friday I'll be able to. Next, we got some fantasy football pickups that I personally is suggesting. The only one I have for my team that I'm picking up is Alec Pierce from the Colts. He was a wide receiver. He caught a long ball, three receptions, but he showed that he's a deep threat for the Colts, and I think you always need a deep threat for your fantasy football team. That's why Brandon Cooks, who had a touchdown, he's a veteran, deep threat guy. He's been out there for years. He played with the Patriots and with the Cowboys, and he played with the Texans. He was always one of those guys that can go off any week, but then for the next 2 or 3 weeks, he won't do much. But then 1 week he'll go off. So I think Alec Pierce is going to be one of those guys, especially with Richardson now. There, a guy who struggles with accuracy, but can throw the deep ball. He can throw bombs down the field. And if Alec Pierce is going to be one of those guys that he could throw bombs to, I would pick him up. That's what I did. I think my next fantasy pickup is going to be Jordan Mason from the 49ers. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers, he was listed inactive right before the game started. And Mason went off for over 100 yards. I know a lot of people picked him up last night from free agency if they didn't already pick him up. Christian McCaffrey always battle. He seems to always battle injuries just because of his usage, and he's getting older in some ways. Not that he's out of his prime; he's still great. But second straight, he definitely just made a case for him being in the lineup in the rotation, even when McCaffrey comes back. He definitely just made a case. He's going to be part of the 49ers offense. That's not. So if he in your fantasy league, if he's a free agent now, he's definitely not by today. He's not. Someone picked him up. But if he still is by some way, pick him up. He's gonna be good this season and for the future. Next, because of the Jordan Love, if you had Jordan Love or if you picked a quarterback you think didn't do well, I do think Jaden Daniels for the Commanders will be a good pickup. I don't think the Commanders will win games. However, Jaden Daniels show you that he can do things on the run. He can run for yards. He can run for touchdowns. If he could throw the ball, that's to be said. But he's a quarterback, so he's going to get some touchdown throws in the season. But he showed that he could do on his feet. So I think he would be a great pickup. But those are all my fantasy picks. Those are 3. I'm gonna try to do that after every week and give my standpoint on who to pick up, maybe who to drop. And I'm gonna just pick like 2 or 3 guys, So there's that. Colorado, going to college football. I got a chance to watch the Colorado game Saturday night. Stayed in the crib. They lost to Nebraska 28-10. Tough game for Colorado for multiple reasons. Shador Sanders threw a pick 6, but if I'm being honest, it really just shows that it's the offense is really a big Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Jimmy Horn. Yes, Jimmy Horn. He only caught 3 passes, I believe, for 60 yards. However, he had a big return in the kicking game that Colorado didn't score from. Travis Hunter's demanding the ball. He received for over 100 yards, 110 yards. He did the best he could. He got some tackles on defense as well. Shador Sanders wasn't his best game, but he just doesn't have that much time. That pick six wasn't a good one. But they're throwing outside to the numbers. The first drive he threw out to the numbers, two incompletions in a row, three and out. What I want to say is, I know people kill that offensive line, and they should because they don't get any push. But whoever the offensive coordinator is needs to change things. Every play is out the shotgun. There's no rollouts. There's no play actions. There's no under the snap. There's no motion before the snap. There's nothing, which just allows these linemen to just push forward, push forward, push forward. I get Shador Sanders is, his game is kind of close to Tom Brady in a way. I'm not saying he's that good, but I know like he likes to stay in the pocket. If it's a clean pocket, he just delivers the strikes. But what you don't know, and I'm a Patriot fan, is that the first two quarters is set up so by the time he gets to the fourth quarter, he can stay in the pocket, which means you got to run it. You got to run left. You got to run right. You got to do some motion, get it to your playmakers. Travis Hunter, I know you want to throw it to him, but you hand it off to him. Get a jet sweep. Get something going. Because it's very one-dimensional. It's very old school. It's very it's not helping the offensive line because the defensive linemen is just pushing. They're just pushing straight forward. There's nothing to, they might switch over, might stunt, but for the most part, there's nothing different in that Colorado offense except for, hey, we got a good quarterback, we got a good wide receiver, we got multiple good wide receivers. Let's get it out to Shador Sanders. He did throw a touchdown in kind of in garbage time. Shiloh Sanders is hurt. He seems to be out for a couple of weeks, if not the season. He came back in a cast on his hand. So, things aren't looking good for Colorado. And I do think I may have overhyped them. I think a lot of people may have overhyped them of what they can do. I don't see them winning 7 or 8 games. Hopefully they fix it, but there's too much major things for them to fix. I will say their defense played really well. They only gave up 21 points. Their offense threw a pick six. The defense only gave up 21 points. And the first time they gave touchdown up is because a lot of times they had the ball. Nebraska had the ball in good field position. It was either at midfield or like somewhere close to midfield. So the defense can only do so much. However, that defense is really good. The secondary played well. The line played okay. They had a freshman quarterback in Nebraska, so that doesn't look good. But he's a 5-star quarterback, so I'm not even going to say they lost. They lost to like a true freshman quarterback that was like a 3-star that just came from somewhere down a high school down the street. No, he was a 5-star quarterback. Mirrors his game after Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's close to there yet, but he definitely looks like him, does everything like him. I'm not mad at it. You don't. I think eventually he'll become his own person. Try to make his own identity as years go. But nonetheless, the Colorado defense looked well. That was a promising sight. I think their offensive line gets a lot of slack, and they deserve it. But I don't think it's as bad as the plays that they're running or designing. I think once you figure that part out, I think they'll be okay. They'll win some games. Once you figure that part, you got to change something on offense. Defense has changed. They put a lot of effort into it. They have teams weren't just Nebraska wasn't just driving down the field with complete ease. Mm-mm. So I mean, there was some blunders that maybe the quarterback just missed the throw or two that could have been a touchdown, which it is a problem. But I think the defense did play harder. They played hard. In that wide receiver core in Colorado is good, but they need to change some things up. Here we go. They play Colorado State next. I'll say that for later in the week of what I think. Rutgers defeated Akron 49-17. Rutgers is rolling. It was expected that they're gonna have a good season. They're gonna be in a bowl game. I don't think they're going 12-0. I think that's just a little far fetched. I'm gonna say my predictions for later this week of what will happen come this week, come this Saturday, this weekend. But Rutgers defeated Akron, another blowout win. 40 burger. They got some seniors. They got some vets on that team. Good offensive line, especially when they're at home. It's just tough to get. Like New Jersey is just going off for them. I love to see it. I really do. Once they start playing the bigger teings, we'll see what happens. Also heard Monmouth is 0-2. Monmouth University is 0-2. But nonetheless, it was a great week for football, man. NFL football is back. College football is here. Even high school football is here. So once we get into the basketball season, I'll incorporate all that, any pickups, any free agency stuff. But right now, it's all football. I hope this episode y'all enjoyed. I'll be back later this week. Give my predictions, give anything that's changed, anything that happened, some fantasy football pickups, anything, predictions, takeaways, everything. So I appreciate y'all for watching. Please don't be afraid to like, subscribe, share, everything. I appreciate everything. We're gonna get better for sure. We're gonna change the show, the format. Peace.